So how did you hear about? Is it of and in and of itself? Is that what it's called?
No, it's in and of it's self. It's got a weird long title. It's Derek Delgado in and of itself is the official title itself. On Hulu. 1 hour and 30 minutes. And I like how it started with, even though you're watching something on Hulu, it says, please put your phones away and just pay attention for a minute. I was like, how pretentious. I'll look at my phone if I want to, but I didn't. But that show, anyone that hasn't seen it, because not many people have seen it, you're like the only other person I know that's seen it. And I tell people go watch it now, and they're like, I'll put it on the list. And I'm like, no, go watch it now. Like, it's unbelievable. What's it about? I can't tell you because I don't want to ruin anything. But it's basically a show about you cannot be judged by what others think of you. And then he goes and proves it. If that makes sense. I mean, that's the only way I could say what happens in that show without giving stuff away. Dude. He straight proves it.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, the way he proves it, I'm thinking like, okay, like how? Like just how? There has to be something to it, right? And there's no way of that being, oh my God. Yeah.
And then he's also obviously he's a magician and he's very good with sleight of hand, but he's so well respected that, like I said earlier before we got started, like Bill Gates is just chilling and it's like a black box theater in New York, and they ran like 500 days in a row or something like that. And the way that the show goes, it's very interactive to where the audience is very much part of it, to where at one point they kick someone out and say, you can't finish the show till tomorrow, come back. That way the show can keep moving. And Bill Gates is just chilling like with everyone else in a little black. And then David Blaine's there. I'm like, if Bill Gates is like, no, I want to go. I need to witness this. He's doing something cool.
Well, dude, and like, I was surprised that they kicked somebody out. Like when he asked, like, I need somebody to leave. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm like, what? Yeah. What? And then, it adds up at the end. I was just like, oh my God.
Wow.
Like that's such a powerful...
You don't get to see the end of this show until tomorrow. With that happening, it allows the show to continue. I mean, I don't even want to bring some of the stuff up, even though I want to talk about it, but we could like talk about it. But there's some of the stuff that happens in there that's just straight up like, how? And I don't even want to talk about it because it's just like, and that's just a terrible way I hate reviewing. And I'm a big person. Like, if you don't want spoilers, then go watch it. Like, I don't give a crap about spoiling stuff. I think it's funny when people are like, oh, spoilers. It's like, dude, then go watch it. I don't care if I spoil something for you. You had an opportunity to see it. Go see it. So anyways, what are you up to, my friend? By the way, I'm Jim Stevens. Hi, Chaz.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah.
Dude,
we've been friends a few years now. Few years now.
We have been,
just kind of fell into it, didn't it? You were on my podcast a few years ago, back when I had one.
Yeah, the movie show.
Yeah, but it was we had a much better studio than you.
Oh, absolutely. That was my first time in a radio station.
Really?
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So it was really cool being in there and then being in the booth, if you will, and like using headphones. I'm like, there's no sound out there. Like, that's so weird.
It was really fun just to see, because most people, I mean, now we do everything over Zoom, but at that time you'd usually invite someone over to your dungeon. And so people were like, where's the basement? Like, no, you're coming to a studio, and then bring them to, you go walk by X96 and U92 to go get into this studio. And it would be a little overwhelming for some people. They're like, oh shit. Like, like, this is okay. How did you fall into this? I'm like,
Yeah, dude, no, that was fun.
It was fun while it lasted. It's gone now. Movie hours is over.
It's not a thing anymore?
No, we've sometimes you grow and then creative differences get to a point where we just I wanted a different show and he wanted a different show, and then it went long enough to where it's not that I like doing a show with my nephew, but the show that I wanted to do wasn't the show that he wanted to do.
Right.
And then it became a problem because I've been talking about underrated and underappreciated films now for years. And now all of a sudden you see that everywhere. Everyone's got the underrated stuff. Everyone, even like you turn on, they're all like, what's the most under? I've been doing that for years. And then he would, he'd go like, I want to watch Toy Story 2. I'm like, what is underrated about Toy Story 2? And then to realize how young he was, and he hadn't even seen Karate Kid and stuff like that. And I said, and so we just had different opinions on just the films, and so it just got to the point where it was just time to do something else.
And did COVID have like a huge play into that? Because like I know when the lockdown kind of happened, like you guys went on a small hiatus, but
yeah. Well, we couldn't go into the studio anymore.
Right.
And then shortly after they downsized everything. So they started, content was going away. And so we could still release it under Broadway, but then there was other problems being with Broadway media. It was cool because we had the big umbrella, but once we couldn't go in the studio anymore, it didn't make any sense to stay with them because we couldn't monetize, we couldn't advertise, we couldn't do any of that stuff because they already have their own sponsors. They already have all that stuff. So for us, and we were being approached by people to monetize, but we couldn't under that umbrella. But then by the time we took such a hiatus and then we tried to get back together and we tried to do it, I tried to do some stuff by myself because he was just too busy. And then by the time we did get back together again, it just wasn't the same show anymore. So,
for a while, I think it was over the summer, you were doing these reviews of people's films. And
I don't know if I'd call it reviews.
It was really tongue in cheek.
Yeah. See, I think I have a hard time being told there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. So like, for instance, my last film that I made, people are saying, I shot it to look ugly. I shot it to look like crap. I shot it with no lighting. I shot it to make it look as bad as my character was. And to hear people tell me I did it wrong makes me laugh because I'm like, if there's a way to go A, B, C, and then that's somehow right and the other way is wrong, then we'd be making money. But you could do it right and still nobody watches your stuff. So why not do it the way that you want? And so I was basically saying, hey, can I review your film? And they'd say, please review my film. Then I had to legally rip it from them, re-edit it. And then review the movie with my version of the cut versus what they did. Like one of the short films had a guy wake up and he's like, there's a noise downstairs. And she's like, just go back to bed. He's like, I'm going to go downstairs. Then when he goes downstairs, there's like this vampire or something there that, and he ends up getting killed. So I re-edited it to take out. So when she says, just go back to bed, he lays down and then I ran the credits and took the vampire character out of the credits and everything. So it's just like, he wakes up, there's someone downstairs. She says, go to bed. So he does. And the movie's over.
I actually worked on that one. That's one of Deuce's. I remember that.
Yeah.
And the fact that's when I laughed so fucking hard. I was just like, oh my God, that is funny.
I had one that I didn't release just because I love DPs that put foliage in every shot that they do. And I literally went through the entire cut of their film and cut out every shot that had foliage in front of the camera. And just was like a montage of foliage. And I just like, you freaking DPs always got to put something. I was a first AD for a movie called Horse Crazy 2 for USA. And we were out in Michigan. And our DP would spend so much time going, like he'd just disappear. And you'd see him like in a field cutting down like a tree so he could come to where his camera was to set it down in front of wherever we were all set up. And I was like, we're now an hour behind so you could have your foliage. I just guess I don't know. I like doing things differently. And so yeah, I guess you could say I was reviewing films. what I was doing is illegally downloading them and making it. Because that's interesting to me. I think that's funny. But I guess I do it wrong.
No, dude, I thought it was really funny. I was kind of sad that it stopped so soon.
It's just a lot of time. It's a lot of time. Like, that's the thing. I don't think people understand. There's a reason why it takes a year for a movie to get done after it's finished. Right. You know, all that. So for me to go back through, and I can't just re-edit because all I have is your footage. And so not only do I got to recut it, I got to make it cut to make sense. Otherwise it makes it even worse. So I spent a lot of time making sense of your story the way I want it to be told. And it takes a lot of time. And it just got to the point where, and then like 3 people got the joke. So how long do you keep telling the same joke for 3 people? I think it's funny, but
I do too. I think that'd be like a fun YouTube series, honestly.
My brother, my older brother, Mike D, he's like, you're constantly dropping references for like 3 people. And he's like, and they're hilarious, but nobody knows what you're talking about except for those 3 people. Like, I was in a fantasy football league, and my fantasy football team name was the Chub Hunt. Because I had a guy named Nick Chubb and a guy named Kareem Hunt. So the Chubb Hunt makes sense, right? Like, Chubb Hunt. But I called it the Chub Hunt. And everyone in the league was like, why is it Chub Hunt? Well, it's for the only person that would know is my brother Mike D, because he had he bought a bird for his kid, and his kid called it Chub. And his little bird was Chub. And the bird was in the car and it got out. And before it could fly out of the car, his kid's mom slammed the door shut and decapitated the bird right in front of the kids. Yeah. And so Chub got decapitated in front of the kids in the car. And so, and so my brother Mike D's trying to explain it, because I don't feel like I need to explain my inside jokes. And nobody else thought it was funny, but to Mike D, it was the funniest thing ever. Chub. Dude,
that's like a full-on Hereditary moment.
Yeah, right. Imagine that's being scarring. Like 8 years old and your little bird. Mom's like, throws the door and just head off. Pop.
I'm sure the screaming probably sound like a bird chirp too, or a bird cock, or like, what do you call it? Caw. Yeah.
However the bird sounds. So yeah, but that's just me. I just for the longest time, I worried so much about what other people thought that it would actually hinder my creative process, because I would worry so much about the few that most people don't have an opinion.
Right.
Some people like it, and other people, the vocal ones, will let you know how much your stuff sucks. And I'm just like, and so for years and years, I wouldn't share my stuff, or I wouldn't pursue doing my stuff, because I would allow that to dictate whether I was good or not with somebody else who liked or didn't like my stuff. And I wish now I could have started doing my own stuff many years earlier, but that's a lesson that everyone needs to learn. And so now, I mean, I appreciate it when people like my stuff, but I don't care if you like it. At least I'm making stuff. Where's your stuff? You can criticize me and tell me my movies don't make any sense. What do you got? What did you make?
Yeah, like a lot of the people who criticize it have haven't even made a movie in their life. So
yeah, they have no idea what it takes.
No. Okay. Well, on that note, then, how did you get into filmmaking and the acting side of stuff?
Well, when I was a little kid, my mom, she used to write road shows for the church. Locals should know what that is. Like, the local Mormons would put on little plays at the theater at the church, and Mom would be put me in them when I was a little kid. And then junior high, I was in drama. High school, I was in drama, but so was like all my family. But when I was in high school, I was a state champion in both debate and drama, to where I got a full ride scholarship to college on a 2.3 grade point average. Full ride scholarship to go be, and then I was on the national debate team, and I was qualified for nationals my freshman year, which doesn't really happen very often. And before nationals, I booked my first professional feature film and dropped out of school to go make my first feature film. And then I went back and they let me back into school and I got started again. And then I shit you not, the same thing happened a year later. I got to play Edgar Allan Poe in a movie and I'm leaving again. And so it just, I don't know. It just kind of, my brothers did it. And I kind of always was successful at it. And it's always been something that I like doing. And it's the only thing that I not the only thing I enjoy doing, but it's the only thing that I like. I know I'm good at it, but I know I can get better at it. And the more I work at it, the more rewarding it is. And when it's also the same thing that when I'm not doing it, I'm never more miserable. Like if I'm depressed and sad, you can probably count on like if you're like, are you writing? No. Have you made anything? And so like even now I post all these little, I've taught myself how to Photoshop and I'm getting better and better at Photoshop. So I'll learn a technique and I'll do it over and over again. And I just throw them out there and people will say to me, they're all like, what are these pictures you keep posting? I'm all, just stuff that I'm working on. And I throw them out there, like them or don't, I don't care. It just gives me something to do, to another thing to flex. They're like, well, why did you learn how to Photoshop? I'm like, cause I wanted to learn. So I taught myself. How did you learn how to edit? Oh, I taught myself. How did you, if you want to learn something, that's what I do is I pick it up and I no longer wait for someone else to want to collaborate with me. If you don't want to, I'm not going to force anyone to come make my little weird movies anymore. Either you're going to want to work with me or not. Cause all it happens when I would do it the other way and I'd have like people I call in favors and I'd say, hey man, I need you to come help. Then I'd have a DP or an editor that it wasn't their project and they weren't 100% invested. And then it would take forever to get anything done. And when they would do it, I know they're sitting there going, well, that's not how I would have done it. And so I'm like, well, then if you don't want to work with me, then don't. And it took me a long time to be okay with that. And now it's funny because I went and started doing it all by myself, but now I actually have people approach me and say, dude, please let me come. I want in. And I'm all like, really? Like you want to make one of these movies with me? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to be a one-man show.
Yeah. You got it. You can't depend on anyone. You can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like the more you know, I mean, the more you kind of make yourself well-rounded in that sense, like when you do work on other projects where you're not doing everything at once, right. Like you have an understanding where they're coming from.
Right. And I run my sets a certain way. Like, I and people do their way. And it just like to hear some of the feedback from other people who have a problem with the way I run my sets, I would just be like, because it makes sense to me to run them that way. And because I have zero interest in an 18-hour day, especially on a free project. I just don't get it. Everyone's burned out. You're not getting any better material. Nothing's working, and so I'm I like to have a good time on set. I like it to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. But anyways, then you hear these people, that say that I'm a distraction on set because I'm not acting. And I'm just like, it is make-believe, dude. It's, and so then I stopped caring. And so I started doing it. But it's weird. As soon as I stopped wanting people to want to work with me and just say, all right, I enjoy doing it, I need to do it. All of a sudden people want to work with you. And then COVID happens. So now nothing's happening.
No.
Sucks.
How are you doing through COVID, by the way?
COVID sucks, dude. Cause it's not even fair because we could probably, like, we even talked a little bit, like, I still want to run by that idea I had with you. I really would like to see if we could figure out something and see if we could write something together. That'd be a lot of fun. But even if we put all that together, because we could write, we don't need each other. But if we decided we want to shoot it, we could go put together a crew. We could go, but I don't, for a free project that we would be calling in favors for, I'm not putting people at risk for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It don't make sense.
No.
It's not fair because if someone got sick, let alone like my little brother's on dialysis, you know what I mean? Or someone got me sick and then I got him sick because it'd kill him just because I do want to make a movie, but it's not worth it. Nothing might happen, but I'm not willing to take that risk. So it's really weird right now that I can't make anything. And all the film festivals that I've submitted my short films to, they've all been pushed back. So I can't, you know what I mean? And by the time they finally get to playing, I don't know if my newest one will even be relevant anymore, because the newest one is my little brother arguing with Alexa, like they're a couple,
Yeah.
right? And everyone kept saying, how did you get Alexa to say that stuff? And they don't, because it took a lot, even though it looks like crap and it sounds like crap, it took a lot more to make that happen than I think people realize. And there's a lot more happening than what and that's why I love it so much. But now all of a sudden I'm watching, like, even on TikTok, they got someone else is starting. It's like a TikTok trend. They're using the Alexa, and someone else has figured out the same trick that I did, but this was already a year ago now. And so by the time they play it, it's not going to be relevant. They're like, oh, I've seen this on TikTok. But a year ago, if they would have played it,
Yeah.
I would be the only one doing it. So, but oh well. The thing I also, I know you didn't even ask about it, but I've had ideas stolen from me. People steal ideas, and that's fine. And people get really upset about the stolen ideas thing. And I don't really care if you steal my ideas, because I got more. And technically, you still don't even have one.
Right.
So I don't much care. So maybe this one, maybe it just didn't work, and maybe COVID took the timing away from me, and that's fine. But that's something else is going to spark, and we'll go from there. Like something else will go. I always got ideas. So you take the good and the bad. But to answer your question, it sucks and it's not fair. And I should be doing more, but I spend most of my time on Photoshop, dude. Just Photoshop. I just did a Photoshop. I took you ever seen Fletch?
No.
The Chevy Chase movie from the 80s? You should, dude. You really, really, really should. It's a classic. It's so good. But anyways, there's this scene where Fletch is talking to a doctor, and a proctologist, and he puts his, hand up his butt. But I took the scene where he's getting his hand up his butt, and actually you see this picture of a guy, and he's got his proctologist. It's actually a combination of 4 pictures that I put into one, so it just looks like silly little characters that are doing this thing, but if you actually knew the context of the scene, actually it's 4 different shots that I combined to make it work. And then I took my current boss, that not just my like supervisor, I'm talking the general manager of the place I work, and photoshopped his face into the guy that's getting, getting anally probed, and put my face on the doctor, and then sent it to him.
Oh my God.
And said, I really appreciate all the stuff. I appreciate all the support you've given me through this COVID so we can pay our bills. I appreciate it. I made you this, and sent it to him. So we're going to find out how that lands when I get to work on Friday.
Oh my God. You haven't. Oh my God.
So there was like, so everyone's like, so you look at it and it just looks like what's with the weird little characters with the, I'm like, do you have any idea how much time that took to actually make it look like it's a simple photo? Because it's not a simple photo. There's actually 4 photos in that picture.
Right.
And that's my GM. God damn it. And I sent it to him. And I think that shit's funny.
It is funny.
If I get fired, it's worth it. If I get fired, it's worth it. Worth it.
Like, are you guys close, or is it like, or do you not know him that well?
And I don't know him that well at all. Yeah, I don't know what he thinks of me, but I don't care. Because like I said, I tell a joke for 3 people.
Well, like I saw your status about a dog. No, was that dog story? Is that real?
Yeah, dog fucking bit me. I'm like, I'm just delivering pizzas and trying to go to school and trying to, try to make it work so I can keep doing this dream of mine. And I'm working on the Super Bowl Sunday, the first Super Bowl I've missed since 1985 when my Bears won it. And I'm working so I can make a few bucks to pay my rent. And it's like the end of the night and I'm tired. And this dog comes running out and the guy says to me, "Don't worry, she won't bite." Chop, bites my leg. And I'm trying to play cool because I'd rather take like a $20 like buy off or like, I'm thinking he's going to tip me to keep me quiet. Asshole gives me $3. And I'm like, "Oh, no, you didn't." So I'm like, "You could have paid me off for my silence." So I went in and I'm like, "Dog bit me. Dog bit me." But yeah, that happened to me. Stupid dog. Trying to make some money and get bit by a dog.
Bastard.
How was your Super Bowl?
It wasn't bad. I didn't care who won, honestly.
I didn't. My Bears weren't in it.
Yeah, and plus I think like this year was weird with this NFL anyway, and basketball like canceling, pushing games back just because of COVID. It's just like you should have just canceled it as a whole.
And I'm a huge sports fan, and I'm glad they're back, but they're fully going. But if you want to go see a play or if you want to go see a movie, something, they're not back. They're still like, it doesn't make much sense to me. How come the sport? I mean, I guess they make all the money, but it's some people can come back and others can't. And there's so many selfish people right now. Like, I don't care about your political views. I don't care about whether you think it's real or not, or you think it's a hoax or nothing, and just common decency. They've asked you to do it. And if that means that, you're taking away my civil liberties and all that stuff, like, you're an idiot. Like, just do it. It's company policy. Like, if you're in a place that requires masks, put on masks. Like, I'm delivering pizzas and this guy hands me cash. He hands me cash for his pizza, right? So I hand him the pizza and he goes, "Contactless delivery. I thought this was contactless." And I'm all, "Do you want me to set it on the ground?" He goes, "I would prefer it." I'm all, "You just handed me cash, dude." But I'll set your pizza on the ground. And he's like, "Thank you. I appreciate that." And I'm like, "Just so you know, the guy that made the dough, the guy that put the toppings on your pizza, the guy that put it in the oven, the guy that pulled it out of the oven, the guy that cut the pizza, and me have all touched your pizza by now. But I'll set your pizza on the ground, sir." So, that's where I sit from anti-maskers to the ones that are just stupid about it.
Yeah, no, sometimes when I order Grubhub, most of the time they order or they, do drop it off on my door or whatever. Sometimes they'll stand there and when they stand there, I'm like, "Oh, cool." And then we'll both like stand back and like reach.
I'm wearing gloves. I'm wearing a mask. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to get COVID.
Now, when people answer the doors, I'm curious about this because I've actually kind of questioned if I should do it, because I personally don't, just because it's you're kind of in your own house. You know what I mean? Yeah. But do they wear masks when they answer the door?
Some do, some don't. Some are like, some are like, "You don't got to wear that." And I'm like, "Yes, yeah, I do." Others are like, "Back off. Yo, ma. Oh," like, they're like, I'm like, "I need you to sign for this. Like, you have to sign. You used a credit card. You need to sign for it." And they're like, "But it's COVID." I'm like, So the only way I get a tip is if you sign this and put a little tip in that little thing. Otherwise, I'm working for $5 an hour, dude. And if you can't afford to tip your drivers, don't order takeout.
Right.
Straight up.
Straight up, yeah.
Straight up now, tell me. But I don't know. But other than that, I mean, it sucks right now. I hate that I have to deliver pizzas. But got to pay rent.
Pays the bills.
I actually, out of the blue yesterday, and this just goes back to the whole working and being, I always assume everyone hates me, but there are people that really do like me. And it's really important that you are a professional and you are very good, because you never know who's watching and who wants to come back. But I actually just yesterday had someone reach out to both me and my older brother, Dave, that I worked with a long time ago on Napoleon Dynamite. And out of nowhere, they're like, "Hey, would you consider reading this script? Would you consider doing it?" And I haven't been asked to be in a movie since that Steven Seagal movie I did that was god awful. And out of the blue, I just got offered a movie that is actually really good, and I'm excited to I'm like, yeah, I'll do this. And that just came out of the blue, just because somebody was like, yeah, we've been waiting until something came along so we could call you. We didn't want to waste your time. You want to do this one? I'm like, yes, I do.
Wow.
So, yeah. So we're in negotiations right now to see if that works out. Out of nowhere. And so, and by, when I say Napoleon Dynamite, I don't mean Jared Hess. Jared Hess was the director, but it was the production company behind it made Palooka, which was the short film for Napoleon Dynamite. Palooka did really well, and then Palooka turned into Napoleon Dynamite. And so this is kind of the same ideas. It's a 14-page script that they want to make, that if it works, we will then be able to go make a feature out of it. And so I'm like, yeah,
kind of like a pitch idea kind of a thing.
But it's still, I mean, it's a full short film,
right,
but it's and highly done very well, to where if they like it, then we'll be optioned into a full feature. And that just came because somebody 15 years ago liked working with me and said, we've been waiting for something to come along. We didn't want to offer you something that you'd just waste your time. Was this something that you'd be interested in? And I'm like, yes.
Were you in Napoleon Dynamite?
I was. I was.
What scene?
So this is my Napoleon Dynamite story. So I auditioned for the bully about 9 times total, and 5 screen tests. And every time I was with Hess, he would give me direction, and he'd keep telling me, he's like, we really like you. But you're very scary. You're too intimidating. I'm like, I'm playing a bully. What do you mean I'm intimidating? And he would give me what now I know is a line read. But at the time I thought he was giving me direction. But what he was doing is, if you if you know the story, Heater didn't act before Napoleon, and that character came out of Jared Hess, not Heater. And everybody in that movie, like, if I would have just done it, if I just would have imitated what he was giving me, I would have got that part over. Snar did a great job. Trevor did a great job, but I just kept. So I would take his direction, and then I would, okay, I'm listening. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, okay, I'll take my little aggressiveness and I'll put a little bit more of this chord. And so when I saw the movie, I went, all I had to do was just do it how he said, because the way that came out of his mouth is exactly how it was in the movie. And if I would have done that, I would have been the bully. So after all that time, me and Jared became like pretty good friends. Punch Drunk Love came out, and so he asked me to come up to Preston just to do a small little part. He's like, just come up for a day. We'll find something for you to do. I want you in my movie either way. And I said, sure. So I went up there, played basketball all day in the gym, and then they called me in, and then I did a small little scene, and it got cut, but it's the first deleted scene in your DVD. So if you flip your disc over, I'm the first deleted scene. And then it got cut from the movie. And then it was the worst experience of my life after that, trying to get out of Preston, Idaho, because you have to sign out, SAG rolls, sign out, get your check, and head back to, Salt Lake. But the lady, she didn't want to sign me out because she goes, I'm going to go to lunch. You'll have to wait till I get back from lunch. And I'm like, it'll take 6 seconds. Just let me sign the paper and go. And she's like, no, you can wait. I'll be back in about an hour and a half. I'm like, I'm not sitting up in Preston, Idaho for 2 hours while you go to lunch. Let me sign out and I'll just leave. And all of a sudden she picks up the radio and she says, I need help. I got an extra in the office that is being a huge problem. I need someone to come get him out of here. At which point I was like, I'm not an extra. I was asked to be here. I was asked to, and then I felt like a huge dick, and I just wanted to leave. I just wanted to get out of Preston, Idaho. Then I got cut from the movie anyways. And then MTV bought it. And the only people that didn't make money on Napoleon Dynamite were the people that made Napoleon Dynamite. Everyone else made a lot of money. Nice. Jared Heater made like $1,000 off that movie. That's it. MTV made all that money.
Dude, I was in 4th grade when that movie came out. Yeah. Yeah. I remember because like we had like an after school program and one of the what do you want to call them, helper volunteer dudes, parent
Yeah,
volunteers, was talking about it, how they saw it up at Sundance.
yeah,
And he started just quoting it and just acting like John Heater. And I was just like,
yeah,
I don't get what's funny about this. And then I
yeah.
once watched the movie, you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
All right, so brutal honesty. I like Hess's some of his. I like Gentleman Bronco. I like there's a few others that I like a lot more than Napoleon. I can't watch Napoleon front to back. There's a lot of funny parts,
Right.
but I don't think it's very. I don't think as from front to back it loses me. And I can't really watch it front to back. But that's okay. I mean, it blew up. They did great, and now he gets to make whatever movie he wants. But I'd rather watch Gentleman Bronco before I would watch Napoleon again. And Hess, he's doing great. Heater's still making movies. I just saw him like in Tremors 19 or something like that. Like, good for him, man. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, in the meantime, I'm trying to make movies that people tell me I do wrong.
You're getting bit by dogs.
Getting bit by dogs delivering pizzas.
So, so were you in Punch? So you were in Punch Drunk Love before Napoleon Dynamite, right?
Before Napoleon, yeah, I had a good run. So I did Punch Drunk Love, which is a Adam Sandler movie, but it's a Paul Thomas Anderson film, which was at Cannes and he won the Palme d'Or, which is the Best Director award at Cannes. Then the next film I did right after that, I did a movie with Anthony Hopkins where I got to do a scene, just me and Anthony Hopkins in the scene, just the two of us. And that was one of the coolest things ever. And that got cut out of the movie. And so I'm thinking, okay, deleted scenes. It's not even in the deleted scenes. So I can't even find that footage for my reel, but it's just me and Anthony Hopkins where he's like, please call me Tony. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll call Sir Anthony Hopkins. I'll call you Tony. No problem, dude. And then, and that one was
personal, dude.
right. And then the next movie I did was Napoleon Dynamite, which was at Sundance. And it won like the audience award. And so I was all these huge festivals that I always wanted to be in, and Punch Drunk Love, all my dialogue was cut. And so I have a really cool part in it. I get a lot of close-ups. I'm in a lot of the movie. I'm in the movie, but I don't say anything. All my dialogue is cut. I'm in a movie with Anthony Hopkins where it's just me and Anthony Hopkins. It gets cut. I'm in Napoleon Dynamite. It gets cut. And they're all playing these huge festivals. And by the time Napoleon came out, I stopped telling people. I didn't even tell anyone I was in it. And so when my little sister got the DVD, she called and she was mad at me. She goes, "You didn't tell me that you were in Napoleon Dynamite." I'm like, "I'm not in Napoleon Dynamite." And she's like, "Yes, I just watched you on the deleted scenes." I'm all, "Exactly, deleted scenes. I'm not in Napoleon Dynamite." And in the meantime, I did other like bunch of other small films, like some LDS films called I did one called The Dance, where they paid me like $500 to say one line. And I didn't tell anyone I was in that movie, but I got recognized from that movie like all the time. Like, "You were in The Dance." I'm like, I've worked with Philip Seymour Hoffman. I've worked with Anthony Hopkins. I've worked with, but you remember The Dance. So it was kind of a sore subject for a while, but at the same time, it's really cool, the experience. Now that I look back at it, I still did it. I still got to meet the people. I was still on those sets. I still got to do what I got to do. It just didn't pan out the way that I hoped.
And how was acting alongside Philip
Seymour Hoffman so we filmed basically for about 4 months on that film. They even filmed in our childhood house out here in Utah. They filmed some in Utah. We filmed out in California, and we filmed a lot of stuff. And and for 4 months, Phil was a dick. He wouldn't talk. When we're standing on set together for 16, 17 hours, and it's not like you can go anywhere. John C. Reilly would come in to see what's going on, because John C. Reilly and let's step back. Philip Seymour Hoffman's role was supposed to be Sean Penn. the brothers from Utah was supposed to be John C. Reilly and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Sean Penn stepped out. Philip Seymour Hoffman took that part, which left John C. Reilly to be kind of dangling. He didn't know this, though. So the phone sex operator in that show, her name is Ashley Clark. She got discovered at the Sundance Film Lab because of her voice, and Paul wrote that part for her voice. Well, while they're putting together this movie and they're looking for 2 brothers from Utah, she says, I know 4 brothers from Utah and they're all actors. And so we send tapes, a second tape, a third tape. We're getting flown out. And all of a sudden we're at a table with Paul, and everything that we were wearing at that meeting is what we're wearing in the movie. They took our clothes from us and put it into wardrobe and sent us home with clothes that they had there. And that was our wardrobe for the next, 4 or 5 months. But so our first day on set, John C. Reilly's there to check in to find out when he's going to start filming, when he meets these 4 blonde brothers that have just taken his role in the movie.
Ooh.
And John C. Reilly was so freaking cool. John was awesome. He was like we'd sit there and he'd just chat. Meantime, Phil had nothing to say. Like I would try, we'd be standing this close to each other and I'd ask him, stuff, and he had nothing to say to me. I got him to open up one time about something and immediately he shuts down. So flash forward 4 months later, he wrapped before we did, which means, he's done with the movie. He's picture wrapped before we did. We still had some stuff to film. And every day we'd go and we had our own table at lunch, and we'd, they quarantined this whole area off. They just let us smoke weed whenever he wanted to. It was like awesome. And all of a sudden there's this voice out of nowhere. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Can I sit with you guys? And we look up and it's Phil. He's sitting there with a lunch. He never came to eat with anyone. He never spent any time with any of the cast or crew. Now he's cut and he wants to sit down and chat with us. And he sits down and he's just like, that was so much fun. I appreciate it. You guys are so, wow. Like, I'm in Utah all the time for Sundance. Make sure, is it okay if we stay in and what I started to realize is because our characters, we worked for him in that movie. And so that's how he treated us.
He was in character
all the time.
God.
All the time. And he wouldn't not treat us that way so that he could keep us at bay. But the second it was over, just a completely different dude shows up and was a sweet, nice, sincere, and every time he'd come into Sundance, he'd either check in or he'd, give a call or how are things? I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, it taught me a lot. When you think you're a professional actor and you think that you're you know what you're doing. And here I am for 4 months just thinking the dude was a dick.
It turns out he's just totally an character.
He's just that much better. He's giving me a master class in acting. And I'm going, he's a dick.
He's just silently judging you from across the room.
No, he was actually like, you guys are awesome. You guys did so good. Like, wow. Because if we didn't do good, they would have just fired us. They would not have just kept filming with us. They would have one day, we just would not have been asked back.
So then what qualifies? So let's say that you're an up and coming actor, but you're not part of SAG yet, right? Does being part of a film like that automatically enroll you to be part of that, or how does that
all
work?
You need is a speaking line in any SAG film. You don't have to be that big. You can be in any SAG film at all, one line, and you are SAG eligible. I have been SAG, but in Utah, there's no reason to be SAG because it actually works against you. Because if you're SAG and you're working on non-union films, they actually consider you a scab, and you can actually get in trouble with the union. So the best thing I always tell people is don't join the union until they make you, because you could do you can get basically you can work on so many films before they make you join. And if you're in a big enough role to where that you have to join, you can actually get a director or producer's exemption and have them pay for your dues to get in anyways. So don't like these people that are paying for $2,000-$3,000 to get into SAG and because they had one line in a Disney film here. Don't do it. You don't need to. Don't join until they make you.
Yeah, I've always been kind of curious about how SAG works, just because I'm definitely
just a union. SAG. It's just the union. It's just a union, and we're a right to work state. So there's no reason to be in a union. It works against you here. You actually can lose out on jobs. So, and everything they have us audition for, which is frustrating, is, you've done all this stuff and you're auditioning for a guy at the bar, and the guy that, like, why can't I read for one of the co-stars? I have more on my resume than that guy. Why can't I read for that? Like, well, he's coming from LA. I'm like, okay, well then I'll have my LA agent submit it. Like, why do I have to, why am I reading for guy number 2? I'm sitting there doing a Steven Seagal movie, and I was supposed to be a crackhead. Okay. So they put me in a crackhead outfit. They dress me in a crackhead. I make up like a crackhead. And then I step out of the makeup chair, and Danny James was the other crackhead with me. They decided we weren't crackheads anymore, and we were just thugs. But I'm now dressed in makeup like a crackhead. And the first thing Danny says to me, he's like, dude, you look like shit. And I'm all like, well, they just dressed me like a crackhead. So I would assume, they didn't clean any of my makeup off. They kept me looking like a crackhead. And then for the next 5 hours of filming, kept saying, you just aren't as intimidating as you were in your audition. What happened? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Maybe because I look like a fucking crackhead. I don't know. And in the meantime, it's a shitty. That is. You watch that movie, and I almost quit at lunch. I almost said, take the money, give it back. I'm not finishing. Danny had to talk me into staying. I hated it so much. And I'm like, I'm on a movie full of shitty acting and shitty writing with a shitty director and a shitty star, and I'm not good enough. Like, it was the most demoralizing. Oh my God, dude. Oh, and so we shot it backwards the week before. So we already died, and we already we laid in a street for 6 hours while they filmed all the other stuff. Then the next week they came back and filmed the scene where we get killed. Well, I've already established where I fall down. I've already established where I died. Only there was no stunt coordinators. There was no, any of that script supervisors, nothing. But now a week later, when I'm trying to match my own continuity, because I know enough about film that I'm like, I want to at least match my own continuity. I have this stunt coordinator. I'm not a stunt guy, by the way, but I'm getting thrown into walls. I'm spitting up blood, and I'm trying to slide down the wall. And he keeps yelling at me, saying I'm getting too close to a fence, that I might poke my eye out. And I'm like, but this is where I landed a week ago, and I'm trying to hit my, I'm trying to help them in the editing room. I know it'll help me. He kept getting on me, kept getting on me. And the director's telling me I'm not intimidating. And I'm just like, and I'm like, I hate this. Till finally I tried not to snap, but I finally went to the stunt coordinator and I said, if I poke my eye out, it's my own fucking fault. Leave me alone. And in the meantime, I'm getting slammed, and then they would put blood in my mouth, and I'm supposed to spit blood up, right, as they cut my throat. But if I spit too hard, I'm spitting on a red dragon, which they don't own it. And so they're like, you can't spit on the camera. So then I wouldn't spit enough. They're like, you have to spit more than that. I'm like, so I'm supposed to be slammed against the wall and slide in a spot that's far enough away from the fence so that I'm believable in my crackhead look, but not too much that I spit on your camera that you can't afford. Make sure that I land in a spot that's believable. And I'm like, just take the money back. Just take it back. I quit. That was the last professional job that I've worked on. That was my experience.
When was that? Like a couple of years ago?
Yeah, that was probably about 3 years ago now. And I was up all night working, and I had a full-time job, and I had to show up to work because I got off set about 5 a.m. I had to be at work at 7:30, and my boss was not going to let me have another day off. So I showed up to my 9 to 5. Well, actually, I was 7 to 5, still covered in set blood. Head to toe, just dripping, because it's just everywhere and it's sticky. And I worked all day with blood all over myself in the office doing my job because my boss wasn't going to let me have a day off. I had yesterday off. I don't get tomorrow. I don't get today off too. And been up all night doing a shitty Steven Seagal movie.
The hardships of acting.
I don't call that acting. That was not acting, and it made me so I didn't want to. That's why I've done so much on the other side of the camera. I'm like, I can control. I get to control all that.
Right.
I don't have to like, and it put such a foul taste in my mouth where I didn't think for a while that I didn't think that I wanted to act anymore. I wasn't having fun doing it. And if I wasn't having fun doing it, all my short films that I write are about me. I don't cast myself. Cast I cast one of my brothers or someone else to play me. I don't want to put me in there and screw it up.
No, I get that.
Yeah. So
that's crazy. I don't know what to say, man. That's a lot to take.
I know, right? That I'm just being brutal. I mean, this is stuff that, you know, it'd be really easy for me just to tell you, yeah, I've done this, but this is just the God honest truth, man. This is what we're asked to do. I've done some really, really, really cool stuff. So you get an ego and you kind of like, man, I've been in, you know, I've done great movies. I've been, you know, rubbed elbows with some of the greats. And now you want me to be dick number 2 at the bar. Like, it's really, you know, I've been a karaoke DJ twice. You know what I mean? And I just started getting to the point where I had a bad attitude on set, and I'm getting paid $1,000 a day, and I'm like, I don't want to be here, until I got to the point where it's actually a really good lesson that my brother Dave taught me when I was going in college, and I qualified for nationals very early in the year, and you have to do so well in tournaments in order to qualify for nationals, right? Right. So I've already qualified. I don't need to keep going to these competitions. I'm already in. However, I kept going to the competitions and I kept winning the competitions, which what was happening is these other people who are trying to qualify to get to nationals can't, because I'm in their way. And I don't need to be there. And someone else was finally like, dude, why are you even here? You could step aside and let someone else have that opportunity to get to nationals. And it never occurred to me. And so I had that same mentality of, if I can't do a shitty Tori Spelling movie with a good attitude, because I don't think my part's big enough, then I should step aside and let someone else who's like excited and let them have their first role, and that's why I don't do local commercials. It's not that I'm better than local commercials. It's like, what is a local commercial, Ken Garf commercial? What is that going to do for me?
Maybe make people recognize you at the movie theater.
They don't.
Hey, I saw you from that movie theater.
Yeah, I did 3 years of Arctic Circle commercials, and I'd have people that I grew up with taking, because they had life-size cutouts of me in the Arctic Circles, and they would take pictures of them and post it on Facebook. And I'm like, right on, I appreciate it. Thanks for the shout out. And they're like, what? I'm like, that's me. What? Like, they didn't even know it was, grew up with me and didn't know it was me. I'm all like, I'm a star.
So have you thought about, like, well, I should ask this. Have you lived in LA then, like where all the main work is?
Yeah.
And how'd that go?
Here's a fun fact. I was accepted to AFI's director's program. They only take about 10 people a year, and I was accepted. And I, all the way to the walkthrough, to talking about where I was going to be staying, where I was going to be living. Some personal issues came up, and I had to move back to Utah because this is where my kid is. And I promised my kid I would be there for him to raise him. And it's something I'd do it again. So I called up AFI and I said, hey, I really appreciate you guys. I thank you so much, but I have to pass. I'm moving back to Utah. And I'll never forget what the lady said. She goes, what? You're saying no? I said, yeah, I got to go. I said, I'm sure you have a wait list, you know, of other people. She goes, yeah, we have a waiting, but we don't use it. like really? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay. And then the next semester, I'm at Salt Lake Community College in their film department at Slick, and not to take anything away from what they did, but the teacher had never been on a big set before. So he would ask me, what's it like being on a professional set? And I'm like, well, so it was just kind of but I mean, I don't know. There are times that I wish I did it better and wasn't. Sometimes I have been a prick about it, and I had no reason to be a prick. I've been lucky, and I've had really talented brothers, and we've been able to do stuff that a lot of people haven't. And sometimes I've been a complete prick about it, and I wish I wasn't. I wish I didn't have that entitlement, because I think it you know, because then when that stuff would happen, I couldn't just be like, I would be a dick about it. And there was a time where I'm sure it was hard for me to be on set, and I'm sure I wasn't very much fun to be around on set. And I regret that.
Right. Well, I think because like even like having like my short, for example, do well at like the local film festival, right?
You mean you filmed in Utah Awards?
Yeah.
The Utah Film Awards?
Yeah. And that was like my first time doing like a festival thing anyway. So like it gave me like this huge ego. And then I had an ego trip, and then it ruined any creativity. It really did.
Yeah.
And so then I realized then like it's okay to have an ego, like especially in the industry, you kind of have to have an ego of some sort.
You got to be confident. Confidence.
Yeah.
I think ego is almost wrong, because ego, you shouldn't have an ego. You should be confident.
Yeah.
But you should also be okay to be wrong, and it's okay to be wrong. And if you're going to collaborate with someone, you have to be willing to be wrong.
Right. And it's about the balance that you kind of, and that's one thing that I kind of learned. So it makes sense what you're saying for sure.
And don't like, I have to remember, if I ask someone to be on my set, I have to allow them to do their job. Just like if you invite me on your set, you have to understand you hired me. If you don't want my opinion, and if you don't want my input, then don't ask me to be there.
Right.
And that's fine. You don't have to have me on set, but it's a collaboration, and it's just, I think a lot of it just comes with growing up, and the Utah filmed in Utah Awards. I mean, I think I've gotten better at not talking smack on it. For many years, I was very critical of it. But now I take a step back because again, it's just kind of like being the guy on set that's pissed off, and I'm the only other speaking role in a room full of extras, and the only other guy that has a line is the lead of the movie and me, and I don't have enough lines, so I'm being a dick about it. So why am I being a dick when someone gets, like, you get to go to your first film festival? I remember my first film festival. Go enjoy it, man. Go have fun. Yeah. I hope you win. Would I go to it even if I was nominated? No, I have no interest in going. And it's nothing against Warren. And I've had Warren on my podcast, and I've told him why I wouldn't go to his film festival. Like he invited my brothers to come and do panels. They do their panels and stuff all week before the actual show. And my brothers came and volunteered. They spent all day, and they were told they would be fed and they could see the award show. So they get done working for free all day, and they're like, all right, where's the food? Where's my seats? And Warren says, no, you're not in black tie. You need to go home and change, or you can't come in. Nobody told them this. They could have said something before now, and it's clear down in Provo. And so they're sitting there starving, working all day for free. And they just basically got to say, thanks, now leave. So they kind of put a, shitty taste in their mouth. And I still don't understand why you have to pay to, you have to pay to be the Oscars. They pay. If you're comparing yourself to the Oscars, then you're a dick. It's not even the same thing. But at the same time, because I've gotten better at it, let them have it. You should be excited. You know that someone has noticed your film. You should be excited, Chaz. You should be like, hey, dude, my film is playing a film festival and it's getting someone noticed. Who gives a crap if nobody outside of Salt Lake even knows what you're talking about?
Right.
Did you have fun?
I did have fun. It wasn't a bad experience.
Right. So and don't you wish now that if you could do it over again, that you just enjoyed it rather than take it as I've arrived?
Yeah, actually, yeah. It was no, that's the lesson learned there. And
I'll just be brutal. So, I mean, I don't even know how people are going to react to me. I'm sure I sound like a smug, arrogant prick, but I'm actually telling you, like, I have made many, many mistakes, and most of it has come from, this is a business of ego, a business of who's best. And I've had a lot of success ever since I was a little kid. I've had success every level. I've had success, and I've been really good. And I've also let it be straight, and it's been a problem. But I can admit it. Yeah. I have been a complete prick about it and felt like I'm being treated unfair when nobody owes me anything, man. Nothing. And so now I'm basically starting over again. I haven't acted in 2 years. My short films, I do them wrong.
I don't think there's a wrong way to do a film. The only wrong way you could do about a film is not releasing the film after it's finished. I mean, that's literally the wrong thing to do, because then nobody's going to see it or see, like it's just, I don't know. Yeah. That's the thing that bugs me, is like films that don't get finished. Just finish it.
Yeah, you never know what. I'm still working on one that, and the only reason why I didn't finish it originally is because I had someone else shoot it, and someone else, they were supposed to edit it, but they weren't, like I said before, that it wasn't their project. And so it wasn't a priority to them. And so it sat for, it took me 2 years to get my footage from them. And now it's got issues that if I would have known about, I mean, whatever, I'm going to finish it, but it's probably the longest post-production of any of my films ever, but it will come out. It will finish.
No, I mean, the difference is that you're working on it. A lot of people just fucking give up and not even touch or think about it. Like,
and it needs sound editing. It needs sound design, all these things that I don't know how to do. So that's what I've been doing during COVID. That's why I do Photoshop. I learned how to do my own fonts. I learned how to do my own, color correction. I learned because I didn't know how to do it. And rather than ask somebody that isn't fully invested, that's like, I'm not doing it for free. How much are you going to pay? I'm learning to do it myself. And it's a lot of fun. So that's one thing about COVID that I do appreciate. It does give me the time that I can learn these new things. Like I could record my own soundtracks now if I wanted to. I couldn't do that a year ago.
Are you recording soundtracks?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can record my own, yeah, dude, it's stupid.
It's stupid. What?
Well, it's just like, just like that photo that I posted that like 3 people liked it. They don't even know what they're looking at. But it brings me so much joy. And they'll be like, you'll be watching my next movie and you won't even know, you won't even notice the little guitar that's playing in the back that took me, 6 months to learn and record correctly and lay it down. And you won't even know. And that's the whole idea is can I figure it out to make it so you don't know what I had to do to make it look like that?
Right.
I don't know why I like that so much.
Because like the final product looks seamless, and there's just so much stuff that's not seamless in the back end. And like, even when you look at films that are like super well done, I'm like, whatever, there's stuff in there that should not work, like a cut or like a certain shot, but for whatever fucking reason, they got to work.
Yeah.
And we don't know how.
I love to make it look easy when it wasn't. It's really cool. And I know I have a production value because I can use my brothers. They'll work for me for free. They won't work for you for free. Right.
Rightfully so.
and just having them act in my movies they elevate my writing like boom, just like that. So I understand that I do get that, but they're not going to do my stuff if they don't like, you know what I mean? If I'm not making stuff that they like to do and allow them to do their stuff. So the last one I did with my little brother, if you knew how we shot it, I basically just yelling, just messed up stuff to him. And he's just he's just never broke character and didn't matter. The more messed up I'd say to him, the more he'd react. And so all I did then is I went and cut me out and then put the Alexa voice in on top of it to make it say whatever I wanted to. And so all this stuff, and I manipulated his improv into the story where my little brother always says, because I just pitched him my new story, and he goes, "Let me guess. All your friends are imaginary. You don't think anybody likes you, and it's open ended to interpretation at the end of it." Yeah, that sounds like one of your movies. And I'm all like, "Oh shit! I didn't realize they did have a theme." Thanks, Nate. And he goes, "How did you take us for a day in my apartment, yelling messed up shit to me and having me respond to you in character? How did you turn that into one of your stories? How did you do that?" And I just went, I couldn't sleep until it made sense.
Dude, that's fun. That's fun.
Right. And then I show it to some people and they love it, and other people I show it to and they tell me I did it wrong. And I'm like, how could I have done it wrong when I had so much fun doing it. And you can watch it and you can look at my film and say, it looks like crap. It sounds like crap. It's funny, but I would do this. I would do that. And I'm like, that's what I want you to do. I want you to have an interpretation of you could do better, or this is what I do, or that's what I would do, because now you're underestimating what we actually did. And that's, I don't know. And like I said, I'll tell a joke for 3 people. For 3 people. And I don't know where that comes from. And I know that's not a good way of getting popular and releasing big movies if I'm making it for 3 people. But if I could find a way to not compromise the way I like to tell stories and find some kind of a market doing it, I think that's a better way of getting in than doing it right, telling a safe story in the structured 3 acts that's boring, that isn't doing anything outside the box, that I'm not having fun making, just so that I can say I did it right, that the majority of the people can understand. I mean, is that making sense? I have no interest in making those kind of films. Not that I have a problem with those films, but you go make that film. And so that's where I'm at, is I'm trying to find a way to bridge. I'm seeking out, how do I tell stories that 2 people can sit next to each other and watch the same story, and both of them leave with completely different interpretations of what they think they just saw. And that's what I try to do.
Well, and dude, that's the beauty of cinema too, is like people are going to get different interpretations. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I love it. So what kind of filmmakers or storytellers or actors, for that matter, like inspired you to kind of take this route? Like, who do you Paul
Giamatti, Giovanni Ribisi, Steve Zahn.
Who's the second one?
Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah.
If you see him, you'll go, oh, that dude. He's in Sneaky Pete on Amazon Prime. He was in Friends. He was in Avatar. He was like the main bad guy. When you see him, you'll go, oh yeah, that dude. He's really, really, really talented. Very, very underrated. I also a big fan of like Sam Rockwell. I'm a big fan of the anti-hero like guy, like Steve Buscemi. And not just because of my snaggletooth, but I like the guy that is underestimated, but somehow in the end comes through. I like those kind of guys. The directors that I like to follow. I'm a huge Alex Garland fan. I love, I love to bring people over and show them The Lobster or The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and Yarmos, however I don't even know how to say his name correctly. But
Yorgos Lanthimos.
That dude's brilliant. The fact that he can and he can make his worlds. So some people just don't get it, and they can't get into his cadence, and they can't fall into that world, and then so the world doesn't work for them. But to me, it completely works, where it's not this world, but it's something similar to this world. And so then once I buy into that, all his characters work, which is funny. In Killing of the Sacred Deer, the kids nail the cadence. Colin Farrell nails the cadence. That kid that's eating that spaghetti kills it. The only person that can't hit the cadence is an Academy Award winning actress in Nicole Kidman. She's the only one that can't do it. But other than that, everyone else nails it. And Alex Garland, like I said, Alex, who else? So, I mean, obviously Dennis Villeneuve, a lot of guys I don't even know their name. But I can also watch, big blockbusters. I think they're dumb, but I love watching them. Like I watched The Mummy with Brandon Fraser the other day. That movie's terrible.
It's great at the same time.
It's so awesome. Yeah, I'm watching it, and they're supposed to be, these Egyptian tombs, and I'm like, none of this stuff's old. Look at these. I mean, why is this a $1 billion movie? You know what I mean? But I don't know what I'm talking about when I tell people Ex Machina is the best film that's come out in the last 5 years. And they're all like, I don't know. Did you see The Mummy? I did. But I watch everything. I watch anything so that I can have an opinion. I love documentaries. I just like watching and learning stuff that I didn't know about. But I'll watch the Hunger Games. I'll watch all the Twilight movies. I'll watch everything. I can find story structure in anything, and I'll find it, and I'll find a through line. But if I'm being honest, the ones that speak out to me the most right now is probably Dennis, Alex, Yorgos. Those guys are the ones that are making films that get me excited. Edgar Wright is making really good movies right now. Baby Driver, and Scott Pilgrim versus the World, highly underrated, highly just passed over. Hot Fuzz might be his best movie,
Hot
but
Fuzz
everyone
is
just
great.
but everyone just goes straight to Shaun of the Dead, which is great. But I don't know. That's just does that answer your question?
That answers my question. Yeah. Because I only ask because I think once you know somebody's like favorite, style of movies, like directors and stuff, like you kind of get a sense of like what they're going for.
Like I like David O. Russell movies, but I have a feeling he's a huge prick. Like I've just hearing how David O. Russell is to people on set makes me not like him. I love Christian Bale, but I hear he's a prick, and so it makes me not like him. Even though he's a great actor, he's just how I tell people the Val Kilmer role, and they're like, "Who?" I'm like, "Exactly." Like now, you tell someone about your age, you know who Val Kilmer is?
Yeah.
You tell people a little young. Ask this question. I'm not even kidding. Tell people, say, "Do you know who Val Kilmer is?" And most people are like, I'm like, okay, he was Batman.
Batman.
He was Jim Morrison. He was the number one movie star. He was the number one movie star in the world. He was the number one movie star in the world. And he was such a prick.
Kiss,
it was
bang,
all taken from him. and that's why I use that as a reference to be humble. And I have to remember that myself. Not that I'm in any way, I deliver pizzas. I'm not anyone to be looked up to, or like, I want to do what he's doing, but I have done a lot of stuff that most people here locally haven't done, which is I'm good on me, but what do I do with it? But if you're going to be a prick, it can and will be taken away from you, Christian Bale. David O. Russell.
The thing with Christian Bale is just like,
and Night Shyamalunga Ding Dong. Like,
was he yelling at the DP specifically?
With the lights and stuff. See, and I don't think that's even that big. That stuff doesn't bother me as much. I've seen many blow-ups on set between I'm in character. I've gotten in fights with the DP. I've gotten in fight. That just happens. And there's all these people don't understand when you're on set and you're trying to focus and pay attention. And there's so many people doing all this other stuff. And I know you're doing your job, but at the end of the day, we've been here for 17 hours and everyone's burned out and everyone wants to go home. And if I don't get it right, we're going to be here longer. And I don't, that stuff doesn't bother me. Just like with the Tom Cruise yelling at the guy for not wearing his mask. I say good on him.
Yeah.
They're looking, he should, who else is to be the one to tell everyone to wear their mask? It should be him. So that stuff doesn't so much bother me. It's the, I had a friend who got on a movie with Charlize Theron and was like, would you like to run lines while they're setting up? And she's wasn't even like, that's not really my process. I don't rehearse. She was like, I don't run lines, and was like a bitch about it. And it was like, there's other ways to tell someone to pound sand. Your process is your process, but you also need to appreciate my process. And if you're hindering other people from doing their process because your bubble is so much more important than other people's bubble, it's going to burst, in my opinion. Eventually, so that's when I have a problem. And it's usually most of the big, huge movie stars. Adam Sandler was awesome. Luis Guzman was awesome. Philip Seymour Hoffman was awesome. Even though he was a dick, he was very professional. Anthony Hopkins was awesome. Like, these guys are awesome. Every time that I had a problem with another actor on set, it was like some dude from Jersey Shore, or it was Aiden. He's in Game of Thrones. Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. I did one of his first movies on USA, like one of my first movies I ever did. And I had like my first big speaking role. and he's a big star, and I didn't even know who he was, and because I didn't know who he was like a dick about it. And I'm just like, all right, man, well, good luck. And so now it may be different. He may be very humble now, but at the time he was a dick to me. So now I don't like watching his movies. Sorry, I don't know who you are.
Dude, that's funny how like it just plays out though. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if these big stars, because I being in Utah, like it's its own bubble, right? So I have like this weird fantasy about LA, but then like talking like friends who live in LA, they're like, oh yeah, no, these people just walk on the street, like they're just normal people.
LA is the loneliest town in the world.
Yeah, well, and then I'm just thinking, I'm like, well, do they have these realizations as well? You know, like when you have that,
they're normal people. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
I mean, they do. I mean, they piss in a gold pot, but they are normal. At the end of the day, they're normal people. But LA, I tell people how lonely it is, and they don't understand. I think they think it's 2 hours anywhere. You don't live next to your friends. It's so spread out. You have to make plans to go see your friends. And it's like a 2-hour drive. So if we wanted to hang out, we'd have to make plans. It's 2 hours out there. It's 2 hours back. And you're just, and you're 7 miles away. So you don't go see anyone. You stay home most of the time. You don't, or you go to your auditions. You're not going to see your friends. So when I say it's lonely, I mean, it's this huge town, and you don't hang out with anybody because they're too far away. And so it's very lonely and isolated because, everyone's out for themselves and nobody gives a shit about you. They don't care. And it's just a weird place to be that I both loved and hated. I don't know if I'd move back. Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
See, it's just, I don't know. I haven't been there. So I had plans to go last summer. For like a small vacation, and thanks COVID. So that was not a thing. And
thanks COVID.
They got slammed hard with COVID. Yeah. So it's just like, oof.
No, there's no reason to travel right now.
No,
there's just no reason. My mom tried to take us all out on a cruise. She's been trying forever. She booked a cruise for all of us, and then COVID happened. And so here's the fun part about that is, I know this has nothing to do with acting, but our movies, but so she finally books this cruise for our whole family. She pays for it, right? Dad passes away. She wants to take us all as a family. She's paying for it. It's what she wants to do. COVID happens, and they won't refund her money. They are like, you can either put it towards next year, or you take these huge financial losses because the boat's going to sell. It will sell. They're like, yeah, but we're not getting on that boat. And well, that's not our fault. You don't want to get on the boat. And so you can push it to next year or lose. So now, and then we pushed it a year, and now here we are still. And now they said it again. You can lose your money, or you push it another year. And they won't because that boat's going to sell. It's going to sell. And you can take that cruise if you choose to.
So shady, dude. Fuck them.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, I have very small heart for big corporations, but mom and pops are losing their hand over fist, but these assholes can keep running. But if they did get back all their money, they'd be done. There'd be no more cruise lines.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. It's eye-opening how, like with the pandemic, it kind of like showed like how corrupt everything already was, to say the least.
The rich got richer.
Yeah.
If you look at the numbers, like the ones that were making money before are making even more money now, like, and the ones that are struggling are closed.
It's just sad. And then Bezos just announced he's stepping down as the CEO, and it's like,
oh,
of course he would. Of course
he would. All that
money. Yeah.
Oh, he's so brave. He's so brave.
After firing people for trying to unionize for safety due to COVID, like, go fuck yourself, man. Like,
yeah.
Just weird, corrupt. Depressing.
and it's no different. But I've worked more behind the camera lately than in front of the camera. But I have, like I said, stuff out of the blues now that I'm actually wanting to do more out of nowhere. It's starting to present itself again. So that's exciting. But I did get to do a pretty cool music video this just last year that I was able to work behind the scenes on, which was a lot of fun out in the Salt Flats, and we were able to do it, with the masks, and we actually it worked out very well. So it can be done, but it also takes money, and so until I can afford to do it correctly, I'm not going to put my favors. I'm not going to call in favors and bring people on set and get someone sick, and unless we can do it right. It's just not worth it.
No, it's not. It's not worth it at all. Especially because Utah is really iffy on the virus anyway. Especially like Utah County. I'm no shame in pointing it out. Utah County, what the fuck?
I don't even care. Your political views. I don't care who you pray to. I don't care. It's just even if it's a very small, minute chance that you, as a healthy 28, 30-year-old who's in good shape, you probably won't get sick. But what does happen is if you get sick, you probably have a little sniffle and you're over it. But then you go and give it to my mother who's in her 70s, and she can't fight it. You give it to my little brother who's on dialysis, and he can't fight it. And you're probably going to be okay, but you're going to kill someone that you love, and you don't even know that you did it. And that's just selfish. And even if it's a 10% chance that wearing that mask is going to save somebody's life, you owe it to the people next to you. You owe it to them to put that damn mask on, to follow the lines in the store, to stay 6 feet away from me. I've been a big fan of, like, I hate people that are always, I wish we were doing this way long ago. Like, I hate people. I hate going out. They make me so mad. They were okay for a while, but already, man, like, my OCD won't allow me to walk down the wrong way down the cart path. I'll go all the way around. I can't, I want to stand away. I already want to stay away from you. And when you're done with your cart and you get out to your car and you put your groceries away, go return your cart, you lazy fuck. Go put it away.
There's a Facebook channel.
You selfish prick.
It's called Cart Narcs. And this guy got somebody, like, he travels around the whole US pre-pandemic. And he would just, like, troll them. Like, he'd be like, that's not where the cart goes. And then they're like, do you work for the store? He's like, no, I work for the special agent Cart Narcs.
I will go down the cart. Like, before they had the one-way stuff, even now the people that go the wrong. But those assholes that will just stop in front of you, and they know you're trying to get somewhere, and they're not even going to, they'll just stand there to see how long before because they know that. But now you got those assholes, they'll put their carts, like, right in the middle of the aisle and then go do something else rather than push it off to the side, so you can't even get around them. I've just gotten to the habit, I will push your cart into like, I'll just push it and boom, and it just bangs. And then and I'm walking by while someone will turn around like, excuse me, and I'm like, don't be a prick, and just keep walking.
Grumpy Jim coming out. I love it.
Dude, I do not like, I have a phobia being in crowds. I hate it. Like, I'd much rather be in front of people. Like, give me a microphone, let me entertain. I hate being in big crowds. And the grocery store brings out the worst in people. Selfish, only my needs. Just, I will step over you to get that TV that was marked up all year, so that on Black Friday we could put it what it was all year, and you're going to step over some lady's dead corpse so you can get what you think is a deal. How do you feel about Black Friday?
I've gotten to the point where I don't even use it to buy gifts for people. I just use it to buy stuff for myself.
Right. I'm very selfish. Very selfish.
Very selfish. Like, I bought a new 4K TV this last Black Friday.
Well, you have to now. That's what I was trying to explain to who was I even talking to? I was like, all my freaking TVs that I have, they're all, my plasma 1080. It's never going to get better. And I'm like, man, now I got to go get 4Ks. If like I got the new PlayStation 5, well, did you go buy a 4K TV? No. Well, then you don't need a PlayStation 5 yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
then you might as well have got the 4.
Dude, I can't even get the fucking 5. I've been trying to get that 5 for the past, was it 4 months almost that it's been released?
Yeah.
Every fucking day. I've been following all these Twitter accounts where they're like, oh, it's in stock at GameStop or it's in stock in the PS Store. And I'll wait. I'll keep refreshing. And guess who hasn't got one? This fucking guy, because all these bots.
But my kid has one, so
good
so
for
I don't
him.
feel too bad. Yeah, he got one. He got one, so I don't have to worry about it. I'll get one, but not right now. Not until I can afford a 4K TV. Not right now. I can't afford one. So, but yeah, I'm in that same boat with you. But they are sweet. But I need to upgrade all my, even the 5.1 Dolby sound. Remember when like I got the sound bar and doesn't it listen to my surround sound? And now it's like all of it's outdated. Can't even plug it into the TV anymore. It's like I got a closet full of like antiquated technology, and I hold on to it in case I don't know why it's still in there. I should just go throw it away. Dead technology. Well,
now with like the surround sound like receivers, for example, when you have like an HDMI ARC, so that you can control everything through like one remote through your TV and stuff. The TVs now have a thing called Smart ARC, and if the receiver doesn't read that correctly, like if it's just like a regular HDMI cord or whatever, or if it's not Smart ARC, it screws everything up. It just flickers and doesn't work. Sound doesn't work. So you have to resort to the optical cord, which I think is more of a direct sound anyway.
the optical cord. And now it's beyond that. It's all going to be wireless anyways. I got a wireless subwoofer that I can, I listen to music, and I've never had one like this big before, and I normally use, and I've been using it all the time. And, listening to my music and everything. So I go into the bathroom the other day. Luckily I live alone. I go in the bathroom, and thank God nobody was here, because, I flip on TikTok, and in the living room, just blaring, I got a round face and a big face and I'm like, oh shit, like it's blasting in the other. I mean, oh my good thing. Like, I could just imagine. I mean, how about that for a scene where the guy's got this little speaker, he's having like a little party, and all of a sudden he goes into the bathroom and you can hear porn. He's like blaring through the Bluetooth in this big speaker. And he's just like, listening to his just graphic porn.
Dude, see, that's the thing too. I'm surprised that not that I know of, that with as much technology as we have now, like if you're trying to mirror something onto your TV, all these other TV options pop up, and it's all your neighbors down below you or on the side of you. I'm like, what would happen if you accidentally mirrored something that embarrassing on their screen?
Because I have all my stuff's Apple. As much as I hate I'm like big corporation, but I got Apple Watch, I got Apple phone, I got a Mac, I got Apple TVs. I don't have Xfinity, I don't have satellite. I have all my stuff on apps. And if I can stream anything to any TV wherever I'm at any time, it'd be very easy to just all of a sudden shoot it to the neighbor, like some weird foot fetish porn or something. You're like, so you're into foot porn, huh? You're like, oh, that wasn't me. That wasn't me.
You're like, oh, they got you too. They got me last week.
Did you? I don't want to go into whether or not your stance on Louis C.K. and the Me Too movement, but did you by chance hear any of his new stand-up that got leaked?
I have not,
on YouTube.
no.
It's so he's got this time where he's talking, and he's all like, so everybody's got a thing, everyone's got their thing. He goes, problem is everybody knows my thing. The president of the United States knows my thing.
What's his thing?
I'm like, you like to ask people if you can, and then he did ask, though. He always asked. That's the funny thing is he always did ask if he could do it first. Doesn't make it right, but he did always ask.
It reminds me of Bill. So Bill Burr had a bit on his new stand-up.
I love Bill Burr. He's such an asshole. I love him.
You
could be an asshole and be a stand-up comedian, though. You could do it because he's cool on set. He's a good actor. He's respectful. But if you're stand-up, you could be as big of a prick as you want.
He's talking about the Me Too stuff, and he's like, as awful as it is, I always laughed when they said that they walked in vigorously masturbating. He's like, how else are you supposed to masturbate?
Yeah, how else you masturbate? His thing, he was just going off about And I think I'm not saying I aligned to it or anything, but he's talking about the women that want to be included. And he's all, just go start your own shit. Go start your own shit. He's like, why do you want to be in a men's club? You want to know the best advice I could give you is go start something that's so awesome and so unique and so special that we want to join your club. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I know you want in the club, and it's like, but go start your own shit. And I'm like, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Like, rather than wanting to be in a club that's antiquated and already ass backwards thinking anyways, go start a better one. And I'm all like, only Bill Burr, man.
Do you listen to his podcast then?
I don't listen to his podcast as much. Right now I'm listening to Smartless. Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes do a podcast together.
What?
And yeah, so there's the three of them. One guy each week has a guest. He's done all the homework. He's the one that's asking all the questions. The other two don't know who's coming on. But because of the three of them with their star power, they're bringing on, like, they just had Paul, the Beatle.
Paul McCartney?
Paul McCartney was just on. They've had Jennifer Aniston, Adam Sandler. They've had the huge stars, and like Neil deGrasse was just on. And it was funny to listen to Neil deGrasse just fanboy out because he's sitting there and he's answering these questions. But these guys, they just tear each other apart. They are so mean to each other, and it's hilarious. and you got the Neil deGrasse just laughing. And these guys, you got these big, huge movie stars that after an hour, they're like, we really appreciate you, giving it. Paul McCartney after an hour goes, but I don't want to leave. I'm having a great time. And they've just started. They're like on episode 25. But it's called Smartless.
Smartless. I'm going to add that to my list.
Fantastic.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I love Jason Bateman too. I think he's a fun actor.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And it made me restart Ozark. So now I'm watching Ozark again.
I need to still watch the second season and the third. There's a third. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You do.
Watch those. I'll get on it. I'm watching The Expanse now.
I've been watching The Expanse too.
That's a pretty
it's
solid
all right.
show, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even know what it was. And then someone else was saying, did you see The Expanse? I'm all, what?
That's how I heard about it. My aunt's like, you should watch The Expanse, and she, give me all the details. I'm like, yeah, I'll put it on my list. Like, I never really got to it. And then over the weekend,
there's 7 seasons of it, by the way. And I'm like, awesome.
Yeah. Well, then over the weekend, I was just like, okay, like I'll give it a watch maybe. Because I watched a bad Nicolas Cage movie, and I'm like, I had to cleanse my palate, right? Like,
well, no, there's no such thing as a bad Nicolas Cage movie.
Jiu-Jitsu is the shittiest Nicolas Cage movie ever. And he goes full on Nicolas Cage in that movie.
Yeah.
And he does his Nick Cage thing, but it's just the story. It's just like, oh,
he was so. I love Nick a lot, but yeah, he's also like. Could you imagine when he did when he made Raising Arizona? Here he is. You're bringing in Coppola's nephew. And he's kind of had a few small roles, but this is his first big thing. And you imagine sitting at that table, Reed, while he's doing that dumbass, you're just like, wait, you're really going to go for this? This is it, huh? And if he didn't, and it was so bizarre and weird that if at any moment you showed any signs of cracking in it, it would have just killed that entire performance. But because he just went for it, it worked. But then the problem was he couldn't just be normal after that.
Well, there's an interview I saw on Twitter. I think it was for like the Hulu movie, like the Primal or whatever it is.
So many of them.
This interview guy was like, so how do you know when you've reached your level? Like your breaking mark, And he's like, you show me where that is, and I'll let you know if I break it.
Yeah.
The Cage.
It's guys like it's guys like that. Like it's like he's a long time ago just trying to pay his bills. Long time ago, but you watch him and it's almost like he's trying to convince himself he's not doing that. Like he's still making Raising Arizona. He's still making these relevant movies and he's just not. But you watch him and I think he thinks he's still doing it. But I'm like, you're very obviously you're trying to pay for your island, you jackass. The bills that you can't pay for, you're doing that. You're chasing it. But I mean, like God bless him.
It seems like he has fun with it. I don't know if you watch the history of swear words that he.
He's had that is a perfect vehicle for him. That's the kind, like, that's why I wish somebody would say, you know, like, that's the stuff you should be doing. Mandy was cool. Mom
Mandy.
and Dad, that one where the parents try to kill him. That one was pretty decent. What was the color one that he just did just
Color
recently?
from Outer Space.
Color from Outer Space was decent. He's every once in a while, but he's doing like 9 films a year.
Just cranking them out, man.
Primal's crap.
I haven't seen it.
I'll at least start stuff, and if it, and I'm like, I'm not.
I'm telling you, like the jiu-jitsu movie.
Yeah, and that's the one I'd probably watch. That's where I watch it. Like, the only movie that I've ever been 100% wrong about, where I thought this movie is the dumbest movie. I hate this movie. This movie's wrong. And then all of a sudden in the third act, I went, I've never been so wrong about a movie in my entire life, was Swiss Army Man.
I will disagree with you on that.
I
fucking hated that movie.
I hated that movie for, what is it, 95-minute film?
Yep.
For 83 minutes. I hated that movie. And then all of a sudden, it just, I don't know what happened. And then I don't know why it clicked in my head, and I went, huh. And I stopped that movie probably 6 times. Like, I've never finished Zoolander. I can't watch Zoolander all the way through.
Dude, what?
Like, I can't stand Zoolander.
But it's
I've never seen
classic.
I've never seen Zoolander front to back. I have, like, there's a couple of movies like that I'm like, I don't. Swiss Army Man, I turned off probably 3 different times. And then, like, the first time I watched Lord of the Rings, the first Lord of the Rings, I took me 4 times to watch it, because I would watch it for what seemed like 6 hours, and I was like, this sucks.
Were you watching the extended cut?
No, this is like when it was brand new. Like, I turned it off and turned it off and turned it off and turned it off, and I was like, this movie's long and boring. And then I finally got into it, and I'm like, okay, well, all right, wait a minute, I'm getting into it. And then it was over, and I had to wait a year, and I was mad. But now I found I like it much better now. But when I first watched Lord of the Rings, I didn't like Lord of the Rings. I am a
blasphemy.
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I hated the movies when I first saw them. They pissed me off so bad. Why would you change that in the book? Why would you change that in the book? I understand the books are much longer. You have to change things, but, like, in the third one, why would you change the way that they go back in time when it wouldn't have taken any more time to do it like they did in the book, but they changed in the movie. Why would they do that? But now I've been able to, like, distance and make them their own entities. But I still would love to see them go back and do the Harry Potter series animated and release them in chapters. So, like, by the time you get to, like, 5, it's like a 14, 15-hour movie. You know what I mean? And put all of it in there and release it on HBO Max or something like that in hour segments, and release the entire book rather than these
half-assed.
Yeah, little chunk, little thingies. That's because I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd.
Dude, well, I mean, going on that, then, like, because, like, I remember Order of the Phoenix, the 5th book, was the longest book.
Yeah.
And then they made Deathly Hallows in 2 parts, double the length.
Well, they made Half-Blood Prince first, and then the Deathly Hallows. And it's like they waited till the 7th one till they went, hey, we could turn these into 2 and they still watch them. Why aren't we doing this since 4? We could have been making doubles all the way. But here's my problem. So this is why the movies pissed me off. Starting with the 4th one was okay. At least the Goblet of Fire had something to do with the Triwizard Tournament. At least it was included. The next one comes out, and it's supposed to be about what's what you just called it? What was the name? Why is it out of my head now? Not the Half-Blood Prince, the one that you just said.
Order of the Phoenix.
Order of the Phoenix. You know what? The Order of the Phoenix, the movie, has very little to nothing to do with
the Order of the Phoenix.
Order of the Phoenix. That book, it takes like 300 pages before they even get to school. And in in the movie, they're at school in like 6 minutes. So the Half-Blood Prince, you know what that book's about? The Half-Blood Prince. You know what the movie's not about?
Half-Blood Prince.
The Half-Blood Prince. That's a problem. But
well, damn, when you put it like that.
but I'm a cynic.
No, I mean, I didn't really think about that. It makes sense because, like you said, they do have to condense stuff, whatever.
They have to. But why did they pick what they picked?
You're not wrong. Like,
I mean, I understand you got to pick parts and okay, but the book's called The Order of the Phoenix. Maybe pick out the parts that have to do with the Order of the Phoenix.
Like, we'll show one scene in that cool looking house that kind of hides or shrinks or whatever, and then we'll call that the Order of the Phoenix.
That's
and
good.
We'll put 2 more hours of the movie.
Yeah.
Not
of them back
at
at school,
all.
back at the whatever. I mean, but then again, I'm the guy that almost got fired from a Steven Seagal movie. So what do I know? What do I know?
Is that your bio on Tinder and stuff?
No, I don't do well on the online dating. A lot of my charm is in my personality, and it's really hard to put down some pictures and write that out. It doesn't come across normal, and then you're always worried about nobody's swiping on you, and you're all like, so and you're all, there's a level of like I'm not. It's not that I don't want to date, but then you finally do meet someone, and you're so worried, like, oh man, finally one likes me. And you build them up, and then they show up. I at least sell myself with what I look like and my personality, and then when George shows up with bigger balls than me, and I'm all like, hey, it's like, at least I'm honest with who I am, and it's such a kick to your ego when you can't get, it's just, I'm on that thing, and you're like, nobody will swipe on me, and I don't have any matches. And then when you finally do meet someone, you put them on like, okay, I got to play it right. I got to say the right stuff, or she's going to ghost me. She's going to stop talking to me. And then you actually finally get to where you meet one, and you're like, whoa, what? Damn. And you almost said no. Yeah, I stopped. I don't do online dating.
No, I don't either. Every time I created one, I'd put something that I thought was funny in my bio that was like self-depreciating, and then I'd screenshot it and send it to my sister. Being like, how does this look for this? Why the fuck would you put that? Like, it's funny.
Yeah, you see the. Yeah, I've had a couple of my best Tinder profile ever because I got tired of it, and I was just like, this is stupid. Do you remember the doll, My Buddy? Like, you're a little younger, but back in the day when I was a kid, there was a doll that was like, there's Teddy Ruxpin, and there's another one called My Buddy, My Buddy, My Buddy, My Buddy and Me, right? And he had this little, My Buddy by Namco. And there's this doll, you can even Google it, named My Buddy. So I went through, this is when I first started learning how to Photoshop. So I cropped out My Buddy, and I put him in all of my photos, right? So every photo I had on Tinder had a My Buddy somewhere. Either I'm holding it or it's sitting on the couch. And my profile, and because the commercial says wherever I go, he goes. So my profile said wherever I go, he goes. Every picture is with me and My Buddy, and I posted that. And I like I said, that's a joke for what? How many people would have? For 3 people. And everyone's like, that's creepy. That's weird. I'm like, yeah, but some girl out there is going to get it and go, that's funny. But unfortunately, I didn't have enough patience to leave it up long enough. So I was like, all right, that's enough. I'm, delete. But I really did. I Photoshopped My Buddy into all my photos, and had a complete profile of just me and My Buddy.
Dude, that's so funny.
I tell jokes for 3 people, and I'm very, very huge in very small circles.
I don't know if I could ever.
Wherever I go,
here's the thing too.
He goes, My Buddy, My Buddy.
To upload the photos, like I don't take selfies often. Like
I don't either.
People.
Yeah, if you notice my pictures, never me.
Right, and like to find a photo of you, it's something somebody else took, but it's usually like while on set or
I hate my photo.
Creative,
dude,
and it's just like That's
I don't like watching playbacks when I'm acting. I don't like watching the playbacks. I don't like looking at myself. I don't like watching the movies I'm in. I don't like it.
you don't. So do you
Mm-mm.
show up? Because I know who was it? Who there's an actor who has never been to a premiere just because he doesn't like the way.
There's a couple of people that do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Johnny Depp, I think's one. He won't watch his own movies. Only time I've ever seen myself in a movie is at premieres. And every once in a while I'll have a director who will say, please just come look at the monitor for a second. Like, one story that just kind of like, cause there's always an exception to every rule. So we can agree Daniel Day-Lewis is probably one of the greatest actors to ever walk the earth,
Yeah,
right?
why not?
He's fantastic. So he did a small movie called There Will Be Blood.
Did you say small movie?
Small movie. Yeah. He had a tiny little role in a movie called There Will Be Blood, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So did you know that they had to reshoot the entire first 2-3 weeks of that movie? They had to reshoot it.
Why?
So he picked his character. He's acting his character. He doesn't watch dailies. He doesn't watch playbacks. He's picked Daniel Day-Lewis has picked his character. He's picked his personality. He's doing, they're 3 weeks into production. And Paul says to him, hey, Daniel, I need you to come and watch some of these dailies with me. And Daniel's like, I don't watch dailies. Like, I understand. I know that's what you're doing, but I need you to come watch the dailies for specific reasons. So Daniel Day-Lewis shows up and they start playing the dailies and Paul's going, it's not working. He's telling a multi-Academy Award actor who's filmed for 3 weeks his performance, and he's showing him that his character that he's picked isn't working. And Daniel Day-Lewis went, oh, wow, yeah, it's not working. And they scrapped it and started over.
Did they go over budget because of that, or?
Paul's a little different. There's no such thing as over budget. When you have a guy like a Paul or a Quentin Tarantino, or there is no over budget because they don't go into it with you have this much money. They go into it because most people have set days of how many you can shoot. They go into it differently because they have the leeway to change it. That's why even with Punch Drunk Love, he would go back because he was so animate about shooting it and making it a 90-minute film, because everyone said that, why does he make these 3-hour movies? He's like, I'll show you, I'll make a 90-minute film. So he'd go home and he'd be editing the dailies together. And if the scene didn't fit perfectly, or it went too long where it started stretching, we'd reshoot it. So the scene that we take the money from Adam, that was probably the 5th different way we'd shot it. And that was in the reshoots that we actually, the one that you see in the movie at the 99-cent store, that was like in like one of the last things we ever shot, and it was in reshoots. But he is able, he can go back and watch it and keep making changes, and so guys like that, there's no such thing, because he isn't going to make a $1 billion movie, and his movies also don't cost $250 million to make. So he's got like a $30 million budget, but he can scrap the first 2-3 weeks of a production because he's working on like $1 million a day budget and has a 120-day shoot schedule versus like a Transformers that's shooting with, $5, $6, $7 million a day, sometimes $10 million days, and you have 17 days to shoot it. And if anything goes wrong, yeah, it's like that's how those ones go over budget. There isn't a lot of money going into marketing. You're going to go see a Paul Thomas Anderson movie or a Quentin Tarantino movie, or you're not. It's the commercial's not going to sell you on Boogie Nights.
I actually haven't seen Boogie Nights, so
you really should. That one's one of my favorites that he's done. If that's the movie that you can almost pause it at any moment. You could just pause it, and the Robert Elswit's cinematography is just so it's a portrait. It's just beautiful.
I think
he tells a story.
It's on Netflix. Hold on, I want to look what that's.
Robert Elswit, he's won Academy Awards for his director of photography. We're in my childhood home that I grew up in, and my dad made them put paper down everywhere and tape it down, and Robert wanted to smoke a cigar, and my dad made him go outside. Mr. Elswit, you need to go outside to smoke that cigar. So Elswit's out on my back porch smoking a cigar, because my father wouldn't allow him to smoke in the house.
It's on Hulu.
Which one?
Boogie Nights.
Oh yeah. Definitely watch it. I got a John C. Reilly signed copy of Boogie Nights.
Is he in that?
Yes, he is. He's him and Mark Wahlberg, dude. And I would. You haven't even seen it. So there's this. They're porn stars, right? And they decide at one point that since they're porn stars, they're going to be rock stars as well. And they sing this song, Mark Wahlberg and John C. Reilly, like, and we will rock you, do, 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 and we will roll you, do. And they're just high on coke, and they just make this terrible album. And for whatever reason, me and my brother Mike D, we were watching Boogie Nights, and for about a week, we just kept singing that song. And Paul would go, "You stop busting my balls. Like, stop it. Stop it." I went to Blockbuster. I hadn't seen Magnolia at the time. And I found Magnolia. This is when you can still get VHS tapes. I found Magnolia in brand new in the VHS tape bin, double disc VHS Magnolia, brand new, 99 cents. And so I'm like, "Hey man, I finally checked out Magnolia." I'm like, "You owe me $1."
You didn't like that one?
I actually did like it a lot. I like Paul's movies. The only one I didn't like Inherent Vice. I'll be honest, I didn't like Inherent. It doesn't make any sense to me. I tried. It doesn't make any sense.
Phantom Thread.
Phantom Thread is well acted, and it looks pretty. It's the first time that Paul was his own DP. And if you talk to Robert Elswit, he's gone on record saying, well, all he did was fill the frame with smoke. He didn't even do anything. But it's a dumb. I don't care about the characters. I don't care how well that Daniel Day-Lewis acted in it. I don't give a shit about him. That was my problem with that movie.
Yeah, well, and then like there's so much hype because there's like, I'm gonna retire, like this is my last movie, and then I'm like, that's what you went out on.
That's your last movie.
Yeah. Like where is the where's your blood?
The swan song? Yeah. Right. He was such a prick in that, and I want to see that footage of him that they didn't use. How bad was it that they scrapped 3 weeks of shooting? How bad was it?
Dude, there's I think Denis Villeneuve went on record for Blade Runner 2049 saying there's like a 4-hour cut out there.
I'd watch it.
Like, I would too, but he's like the cut that's out there. He's like, that's the cut. He's like, there's no reason for it to be 4 hours, but he's like, there isn't one. I'm like,
there's one longer. Well, I watched the 4-hour cut of Hateful Eight.
I did too. I actually liked it. I liked it more than I liked the theatrical.
I liked that one too. I had some buddies. They were like, "Why would you shoot in 35 millimeter and then shoot indoors? That's completely defeats the purpose of shooting 35 millimeter." I'm like, "Are you telling me that Quentin Tarantino did it wrong?" Okay, dude. Okay. Can I borrow your SLR to shoot this weekend
with my 35?
Right. I'll borrow your lens.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll start wrapping this up a little bit. What are your fears then going forward with acting? Because I mean, you said that you're kind of restarting now. So like, what's your biggest fear now after having all these realizations?
Because every artist has two voices in their head. They have I'm the baddest motherfucker on the planet, and I'm a worthless piece of shit. And so I'm worried that it's passed me by, and I don't have the moxie anymore that it takes in order to play, confidently, because it really does. That's the difference between someone believable and not believable. Is just you got to believe it, and I worry, and I don't know if it's just my own inner fears, but I'm afraid that that because I didn't do it, it's a muscle, you know what I mean, and I didn't flex it for so long. I'm afraid that it's and it's not gonna come back, So where do you hope it takes you then? Like if it does come back, if you still have it, 'cause I don't doubt that you see. And I don't like I've gone past. I don't think fame. I don't think fortune. I don't think at one point all I wanted to do is I just wanted to work. I just wanted to get paid to make movies. I don't even think that's I don't even think that's something that's going to happen anymore. I just want to have fun again. It's supposed to be fun. I want to go play. I want to do projects that I want to do that make me excited, that challenge me, but I want to have fun doing it. And if I'm not having fun doing it, then I'm not going to do it. I just won't do it. So where it's going to take me, I don't see it anything other than I have to perform, and I have to tell these stories that are in my head, or else it drives me crazy. And it's where it's going to take me is simply my own personal gratitude of just, it gives me that release that I need. And I just want to go have fun again. I just want to get back on set. I want to get in front of a camera, and I want to be able to play with others like I used to and have fun doing it, and not have that pressure of, can I pull off a Steven Seagal movie and not? You know what I mean? That is just such a shitty feeling. I don't ever want to feel like that again. And it was my own fault. So
no, that's a fear of mine though, is like losing the fun of it,
yeah.
Like at that point, then it's like, what have I been doing?
What's the point?
Whole life? Yeah.
What's the point?
So
yeah.
It's interesting to hear that like it seems like you've already gotten to that point, but you're bouncing back.
Yeah, well, it's been a weird journey, and I've gone through my own stuff, and it took and I like being director and writer because I have more control over things, but I want to do more acting, but I only want to be on people's projects if they're going to allow me to bring my process to it. Like when I did Lenny's film, that's like one of the other times I worked, and Lenny and I both went into it where Lenny knew I was going to, because I was doing in class a character, and he goes, I want you to come do that for me. And the first AD kept slipping me the script every single time we'd have a break. Because every time I'd say something different, every time. And I just keep ad-libbing, and I change it, and I change, but I mean, I hit all my marks. I got all the beats, but that's what I was brought in to do. And Lenny asked me to do that. And the first AD kept handing me the script. And I said, why? He's all like, you got to stop ad-libbing. And I said, why? He says, because we can't cut this together if you can't say the same line twice. And I said, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. I said, I'm giving him options. He asked me to give him options. And until he tells me that he doesn't want that anymore, I'm going to keep doing it the way that he asked me to come in and do it. Otherwise, don't ask me to come in and do the part.
Right.
I'm not saying that I can't come in and say the lines all perfectly, but if it's already something that's my strengths, is my ad lib ability and my, you know what I mean? That's just the kind of stuff that I do. And my, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I don't need the first AD slipping me the damn script, telling me to, you know what I mean? I'm like, that I have no interest in coming in and doing someone and playing a character that you could have hired anybody for. If you want to bring me in on your projects, then you've got to let me come in and do, because if it's not fun, I'd rather go make my own movie.
Right.
And that's not being a dick, and that's not an ego thing. It's just, you're not going to get a very good performance out of me if I'm saying the same thing over and 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 over again. It's not going to be as good than if you let me do what I do. And once you let me play and have fun, it's going to make your project better. But if you don't want that in your project, it's nothing. It's fine. Just don't ask me to come in and hey man, I need you to be, you're the only one that can be the cash attendant. I need you to say it'll be $4.73. But it's very important that you say $4.37 and nothing else. I'm just like, go find someone else. I don't know. I mean, does that make any sense at all?
No, that makes sense.
It's not me being like, I am allowed to be what I want to be. I know what I'm good at, and these are the characters I play, and this is my process. And if that doesn't work for you, it's cool. But that's how I work. Right.
And from my understanding, it's like the director has the final word, right?
Yeah. And Lenny asked me to do that. I'm like, you hand me the script one more time, I'm going to shove it up your ass.
get some paper cuts on the way up there.
Yeah, and I know and I'm sure that guy thinks I'm the most arrogant prick ever and ruined the movie. And I actually feel bad because it doesn't work. I told Lenny it wouldn't. I said I don't think with what you're building with your ASOP and your WSOL, whatever, your world that you're creating. I said I don't think this, and it really is, out of all of them, it doesn't work. And maybe that's my fault, but it of all of them, it's the one that never, you don't ever see it popping up on any of the feeds, and it didn't work. But we had fun doing it.
That's all that matters, though. You had fun.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. With like, even with like your dilute scenes, like on Napoleon Dynamite, like if you had fun, I think that's the best you could ask for, besides being in the movie, but at least you still have the memory that people don't have.
Memories of me and Tony.
Did he sing for you? Did he sing?
No, he didn't sing.
Oh.
I did see him lose his shit at lunch, though. There was some extra that got escorted off, and I don't know exactly what happened. I think he kept talking Hannibal Lecter lines to him.
Oh, God.
And he kept saying, and finally, like, out of nowhere, he's like, I fucking told you. And he just, like, and all of a sudden, security showed, like, dude was gone, but all of a sudden, Hannibal Lecter showed up for a minute, and it was like, oh, shit.
God damn, dude, that's great. Okay, well, how do you hope that you can inspire others, like, if they do see your work?
See, that's a weird question, because I don't. There was a time that I wanted to be considered, like,
Right.
And then I think it kind of worked against me to where people are like, I think you make movies so weird just to be weird versus, like, I don't really think it inspires or aspires. I just want to prove the point that none of us are making any money at this. None of us are going. I mean, even the guys that are working a steady gig and making the Mormon porn, they're making their money. They're making their money back. But are they really making a movie that they're proud of? Are they? I don't know. But so at least make what you want to make and make it your way. And if anything else, I just want people to go, you know what? It's okay to not have everyone, not everyone's going to like your stuff anyways, but at least you're making stuff and you're making it your way with your stamp on it. And if anything else, I just want people to feel like, or even like, or if I could help them find their own voice and to do it. So I don't think I aspire as an acting coach. I never saw myself as really a teacher. I had a hard time, your talent is your own. I have nothing to do with your talent. All I can do is help you get, move that along. So, and the kind of movies I do and the kind of stuff I do is completely self-absorbed, obnoxious crap that I like. And if nothing else, I hope it just shows someone else that it's more, I have more fun and I have more, like, making my little film that I've been told it's wrong, that's told that's you can't do it that way. I had more fun making that movie, doing it my way, than making $5,000 on a fucking Steven Seagal piece of shit. But which one got seen more? But which one do I like? And that's if anything else, I wish we had more people that did that rather than making it right. I don't care if it's shot right. That's great. You have the right lenses and all that fucking cool shit. I don't know that stuff. That's great. But do you have any kind of a style that is your own? Your story is shit. It's boring. You don't even follow the 3-act structure. Like, I don't give a shit about your characters. And when someone sends me a short film and says, hey, will you watch this? Yeah, sure. And you've done this, and they send it to you and it says 7 minutes and 16 seconds on it, and you go, oh, fuck. Right? 7 minutes. And you're like, God damn it. And it feels like 40 minutes long, and it's like pulling teeth. And you're like, and then, or the asshole that sends you one that says 36 minutes. You're like, you fucking prick. oh, and
This
you
guy.
watch, and you watch, and the actors suck, and you don't give a shit, and it's like that. If nothing else, maybe you don't like my movies, but you know what they are? They're well acted. They are different. They are unique, and the 7 minutes goes by a lot quicker. It
Right.
doesn't feel like 35 minutes. So, if you're gonna make something, do it your way. Make it unique and special, because nobody's gonna watch it anyways. And we can all go win Utah Film Awards. We can all pay for those.
I wonder how they did with COVID.
They pay.
That's
Okay.
curious about that.
They made them pay to watch online.
The filmmakers too?
Yes.
Oh,
You had to pay to watch the stream rather than just take your losses and say, you know what, let's just have a big celebration with the COVID. Let's just have everyone's invited. Let's just have a big celebration and let's get everybody to watch it in the state and have a celebration. I'm sorry. I have a hard time. I don't want to talk shit. I really don't. But I have a hard time. You have that many people in a room and that much interest. You can't find sponsors? You're telling me there's no sponsors that are forking out the bill for the assembly hall? You're telling me you're packing in 5,000-6,000 people in a room and there ain't nobody that wants to sponsor? You ain't getting no sponsorship money. You need and they used to do like if a movie got submitted, it should be submitted for all categories, for everything, and it should be one time. But they would allow like you to submit it, and then your actor could submit it, and they don't tell you it's already been submitted and give you your money back. They'd let it be resubmitted, and so they can make all that money for each and every single award. And you know what they're not doing is they're not actually having someone seek out and look for actual filmed in Utah films that aren't paying to be in there and acknowledging those ones. You know what I mean? Like, well, you didn't pay us, so we're not gonna do it, and that stuff bothers me. But at the same time, good on you. You got in. You won another award. That's great. You got to give your little speech. But were you the best film? Were you the best short film?
Not all of them. No,
not all of them were. Not all of them were. You're not comparing apples to apples here.
No, I don't know what else was entered. That's the thing that crossed my mind.
I just think that there, with that many people, there should be a way to hire a small group of people who just keep their eye on the pulse, that works with the Utah Film Commission. And all you need to do in order to be submitted to, or at least be acknowledged, is at least submit it with the Utah Film Commission so that they know about it. And then they can go seek out these movies. Like For Robbing the Dead, that was filmed the same year that, and I love Rob Diamond. Rob Diamond's my friend. He did a movie called Saint Street, or not Saint Street, something like that. And it had Mark Webb in it, who later got arrested for molesting an underage girl. Right? He won Best Actor that year. Right? Do you know who the number one, the biggest producer, or not producer, the sponsor that year, the number one sponsor was High Energy Labs. That's Mark Webb's company. So he was the number one sponsor, and they win Best Picture. They win Best Actor. The top sponsor also won the Best Actor award. I think is a huge problem. And the same year that BYU made For Robbing the Dead, that were called Redemption, that they did out on Antelope Island, and wasn't even, because BYU's not going to pay to have it put in the Utah Film Awards. These other films, it's just that stuff like that. Just, you can't have your number one sponsor also win your Best Actor award. You can't.
Yeah, that's bothersome.
And anyone who says that I'm wrong, you can go ahead and you can look that shit up.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that story, especially with Mark. But
yeah, dirtbag. He was my friend, dude. He was my friend, and then I found out later he was. I don't know. I'm not even going to go into it, but yeah, he was my friend, dude. Yeah, now he's back on sets because there was a there was a glitch and he got off and it's off his record and stuff. And so now he's trying to say she lied and stuff. Like, I saw the text messages, dude. I seen dude's guilty and shit, dude. He was my friend.
I have no doubt. Well, yeah, no, I have no doubt. That's another discussion. The amount of people
and now he's back on set with children on set and he's allowed.
It's disgusting. And just the amount of victim blaming that's gone on too. It's just like, what the fuck is wrong?
Yeah.
People.
Anyways, so hey man, thanks for having me on, dude. That was a 2.5, 2:15. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to just ramble.
No, dude, I loved it.
Yeah.
Drop your stuff real quick. Where can people find you?
This is something I got to get better at. This is stuff I'm working on. I had at one point 5 different IMDb pages. I would change Jim Stevens, Jimmy Stevens, Jim Smooth, Jimmy Smooth, James Stevens. And a lot of people are like, my pro rating is, I don't give a shit about my IMDb page. I don't give a shit if people know what movies I've been. And I know I got to get better at it. I should have a web page. I should have all that stuff on. I just don't, because I don't give a shit. I don't care, because I could put all that together and I could spend all that time making my IMDb look great and show my reading. And I put all my, nobody's going to watch my shorts. No one's going to hire me for my IMDb credits. And so why invest all that into something that's just a waste of time? But I do, some of it I'm trying to get better at. So there's really nowhere to find any of my stuff, because I'll just take it down anyways and change it and then re-edit it. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know why, but I just have a hard time. All that stuff's stupid to me. It's just stupid, dude.
I know. I see people talk about the star rating or the star MDB, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't get it. If it's that big of a deal, you wouldn't be in Utah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So where do you find my stuff? How about you, anyone that's listening this long into it already knows us. There's no, I doubt anyone that's this long into it doesn't know us. So just if you want to see some of my stuff, just hit me up on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Say, hey, Smooth, let me see some of your stuff. I'll send you all my stuff. I'll send you links to all of it. But
real quick, then I want to ask you one more thing. Where does Jimmy Smooth come from? long time ago. I got the nickname from my older brother, Mike D. It was a different time. And I learned the power of words could bite you. Sitting at a traffic light to turn left in the middle of the summer, and I'm in this old truck, didn't have air conditioning, so our windows are down, and they get a green arrow to turn left, and this couple starts walking on the green arrow, and I'm like, now all these people don't get to go where they need to go because some dumbass doesn't know how to walk across the street. So now all these people are going to miss their green arrow because these and as I'm bitching about them to my brother, now they're sitting at the corner. I'm like, great, they're about to do it to me, right? Get the green arrow. They start walking, and I start turning. Sure enough, they walk in front of me. They get past my car, and I said, "What's wrong with you?" And I called them an effing R word, retarded. And they turned around, and it was a retarded couple. Oh no! Smooth.
Yeah. And this is like 1995, 1996. And Mike D is laughing so hard. He's crying. And for 20 minutes, it's all he can say. Smooth. You are so smooth. And it stuck.
I was out, you could ask me, where do you think it came from? And I would be like, I don't know. Maybe you're just smooth on set. Maybe you're just smooth personality, right?
It's more of a, why do they call fat guys tiny?
Because of tiny dicks.
No, it's just because I have the improv and the quick wit and be able to go. It does do. It's very helpful, but it also could get me in trouble.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah. I would never guess that story in a million years. That's how you got your nickname.
Yeah.
Well,
open my big mouth,
dude. Thank you for coming on and chit chatting for this long.
Yeah, man. Now I get to go back and do some more editing.
I feel you. I'll have to edit some photos.
So I right now I have a bunch of ones that I've actually working on but it's just like when I was editing other people's films and then sending them back to them. What I do now is because I can only edit my own pictures so many times. And so I'll just steal my friends' pictures. I can't post them because I didn't ask permission to use your picture, but I'll just take people's pictures because it gives me different stuff to work on. But then when I'm done with them, I send it to them and I just say, hey, just so you know, I can't post this because it's going to make me look like a creep. But I stole your picture without your permission and I've been editing it. And, and I'm sure someone eventually is going to get mad at me going, you can't do that. Well, then don't put them on social media. You know what I mean? I'm not posting, but I'll just steal people's pictures and try different stuff with them. And so, I've got, but I usually will go and then send it to them and say, I can't post this, but if you want them, they're yours. But I've been cropping your picture for the last, 16 hours.
That's funny. You just have all these ways to be creative, man.
Technically it's illegal.
Is it illegal? Why is that illegal?
Well, it's because I don't have permission. I don't have any copyright. It's the same way. The same reason why whenever I make my films, like I remember having a big Campbell soup picture in the back of one of my shots, and these guys, when I was in film school, they started taking it down, and I said, "What are you doing?" They're like, "Oh, we don't want to get sued by Campbell soup," and I'm all, "Yes, we do." And he's like, "What?" I'm all, do you have any idea how awesome it would be for us to get sued? That means someone watched our film, dumbass. Put it back up. I'm like, that's a great problem to have, to get some small production get sued by Campbell Soup. Do you have any idea how many people would watch it?
Oh, yeah.
That's why I always tell people when they're always worried about copyright laws and all that shit. And they're always like, what do you think? I'm like, no one's going to watch your shit. Use it. Get sued by Nike. Watch what happens. Watch what happens when you get sued by Nike.
Yeah, dude. That means somebody did watch your shit.
This means someone, and now 5 trillion more are going to want to see why Nike's suing you.
And then they're going to be like, they're suing them over that? Really? Yeah. Over that?
Yeah. And then you're going to get that many views, and guess what's going to come with it? You can now afford to cease and desist.
I love it. Okay, well, let's do this. I'm going to stop recording.
Stop it.